Good photographers aren't lucky. Yes, there is some element of luck involved, but I wouldn't say that the best photographers are all lucky people. The truth is they have years of technique, practice, preparation, different methods that they use to stay on top of their game. But I believe there's techniques, specifically one technique that we can use to greatly improve our own work and our own photography. It's a technique that might not apply to every photographer, can't guarantee that, and it might not work in every scenario depending on the kinds of pictures you take. And so that's what this video is about. Using the pictures I took maybe a week ago now, but for you at the start of the video, to investigate this concept, an idea that I hold quite dear to my heart, and that idea is called the decisive moment. So yeah, let's dive in, let's have a look. So a few weeks ago, I was commissioned by the Recess team to go out to Margate, Kent, to help them photograph Recessland. It's the second iteration. It featured all kinds of popular Black British music genres, some massive artists, and in general was just a really nice celebration of Black British culture. I shot the event on my Canon AE1 program, 28mm and a 50mm. I use them interchangeably, but they never fail me. The camera is a powerhouse. However, if it does fail, it's gonna be cool 9 times out of 10. So what is the decisive moment? For me, it's essentially the second or fraction of a second in which you, the photographer, decide to press the shutter and take the picture. But in order to make the most of this moment, according to Henri Cartier-Bresson, you need 2 things, a hawk's eye and a velvet glove. If I was to pick any picture that was the best representation of that idea of the hawk's eye and the velvet glove, the decisive moment, it'd probably be this one. I picked this picture because if we look at the footage before I take it, you can see me scanning and scouting in the crowd. I'm looking for the moment or these moments or indicators of the moment, if anything, because you never really know when it's coming. And then, just as quickly as it appears, it's gone. Fortunately, I was ready and in a position to capture the image, but so many times moments and images will appear. Some of these videos that you're seeing here are ideas that I thought could turn into a picture, but for whatever reason, just never really materialized because it was just a bit too tricky to capture. I wasn't ready. A hawk can see an object clearly from about a mile away. Its field of view is 280 degrees, so it can almost see behind itself, and it conserves its energy waiting for the perfect moment to strike. If you can think of a better analogy for how we should behave as photographers, I'll give you a 10 because for me, that's pretty much perfect. And then moving on to the second idea is the velvet glove. I think what Bresson's talking about when he does this, or he says this, is that you can't be heavy-handed in these situations. If any one of these people became aware of my presence in the moment, I'm almost certain that it would have affected the picture in a way that would have just made it lesser. And although this isn't the most technically amazing picture, I still believe that it's the authenticity of the moment and the image that you capture that really elevates it into something special. So for me, this is a real winner. The next picture I want to talk about is a bit different. It still involves a decisive moment, but it's a lot slower. I had a lot more time with this one. It's this picture. You see in this image, the girl getting ready or adjusting her outfit, she was doing that for about 1.5 minutes, which is plenty of time to capture an image if you ask me. But once I'd realized that there was a potential image here and that there was a scene that I wanted to capture, the decision really just came down to what was the right moment. And as you can see by some of the moments taken before and after or around it, there's something about this frame, the selected frame, that just fully encapsulates the vibe of Recess. I mean, people were looking good, the sun was shining, the music was amazing, the stage was booming, the crowd was massive. For me, this picture is perfect because it encapsulates that whole essence. However, that little bit of action and movement and drama that's happening in the foreground is really helpful, because in my eyes, it helps elevate the image into something that is a bit more of a story than just a representation of events. And then this final picture, it's an interesting one because the moment was almost eluding me. I'd seen this ride and I knew that I wanted to do something with it and take a picture with it, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't working. In these ones, these early shots, maybe it's because there was something in front of the subject's face or the ride was kind of empty. It just wasn't really working, but I didn't want to abandon the moment or the idea. And I had to search for the moment. And sometimes that's what photography requires of us. It requires of us to be persistent. It requires of us to keep hunting, keep looking for things, because when we do stumble across the moment, that's how we end up with images like this. Now, I needed to change my position to get this picture. I needed to be in the moment. That was the only way that I was going to be able to accurately represent what I wanted to capture here, which was that youthful energy and participating in the joy of Recessland. And the fact that you have this music, this black culture, and these rides happening at the same time, there was just something that I needed to capture about that, and I needed to get on the ride to do that. These pictures were tricky because, as you can see in the footage, I'm flying around God knows how many miles per hour on this ride. But what's nice is that although you end up with a technically inferior photograph compared to the other one, the exposure is a little bit off and I'm not sure about the shutter speed, you still end up with something that feels a lot more active and a lot more engaged and has a subject and has something to photograph and something to say. So film can be quite magical in that way, where as long as you're capturing the moment, the technical parameters, they're not as important. It's really about the image that you capture. Now this final one is just a bonus one. I'm gonna throw it in there. My camera sometimes jams, and when it does, you get these double exposures, which I think are kind of cool, but you know, I'd like to say I did it on purpose, but this one's a happy accident. As we flip through these pictures and go through some of the moments that came before and after them, I hope you've enjoyed this little exercise and endeavor into the decisive moment, because as film photographers, we know how much it hurts to miss that moment, and when you're able to capture that moment, how much of a joy that is. So there's loads more I could say about these pictures, and I do want to make more videos about my process. So if you've liked what you've seen, do the thing, like, click the bell, subscribe, whatever it is. I really appreciate the support, as I'm pretty new to this whole YouTube thing. Stick around. The hope is that we make a lot more of these. But yeah, thanks for watching the whole video. I'll see you next time.